Let's move on to our next panel discussion. I think you'll find this quite interesting. Having children does not come easy for everyone. I should know. I had my son at 41, actually. I was nearly 42, and it wasn't that easy. Studies indicate that approximately 1 out of 6 couples experience fertility problems at some point. You will get an insight on fertility and cross-border reproductive care on our next panel, All About Fertility discussion by the world's largest egg and sperm bank, Cryos International. MP Savia Orphanidou, Obstetrician-Gynecologist Dr. Nicos Zottis, Cryos Director of European Operations Saghar Kasiri, and Deputy Ministry of Tourism Officer Thalia Christodoulidou will touch on numerous informative topics surrounding fertility and the prospects for the promotion of Cyprus as a fertility haven. Sophia Paraskeva will also be shedding light on her personal fertility treatment experience. The panel discussion will be led by writer, blogger, and podcaster Eleni Antoniou.
Hold on to your dreams and make memories that will last for a lifetime. We help people around the world make their dream of having a child come true. Cryos is the world's largest sperm and egg bank with more than 30 years of experience. We deliver to over 100 countries, and we have more than 1,000 carefully selected donors of many different ethnicities and phenotypes. We are proud of our vital role in having achieved the highest number of registered pregnancies worldwide through the help of our donors. Every day, our experienced customer care consultants provide dedicated support and guidance to LGBTQ people, single women, and couples experiencing fertility challenges. We speak multiple languages and provide expert guidance for our customers' fertility treatments. We strongly believe in the freedom of choice and provide free access to both ID release and non-ID release sperm and egg donors, with different levels of information about the donor's personality, health, and physical traits. As a certified tissue centre, our donor gametes come highly recommended by physicians around the world. This allows us to cooperate with some of the best fertility clinics in each country. Quality, compliance, and safety are very important factors to us. We are certified in accordance with the International Standard for Quality Management, ISO 9001:2015, and operate in-house quality and legal departments, as well as state-of-the-art laboratories. We are your global partner, committed to the highest standards. The story of our company began in 1981, where founder Ole Skov had a strange dream about frozen sperm. 6 years later, he started Cryos in Aarhus, Denmark, where our headquarters remain today. Over the years, Cryos has grown into a market leader with activities, representatives, and several locations around the world. Yet with that growth, our vision remains the same: to help people make their dream of having a child come true. Thanks to the Cryos family, the many men and women who made the selfless decision to give life to other people's dreams, and the Cryos employees who work tirelessly to ensure high-quality products. We help make parents happy every single day. To Cryos, it is personal.
And those viewers online, my name is Saghar Kasiri. I'm Director of European Operations for Cryos International. It's an honor to be here, and we have a great panel which have already been introduced. I will do a quick presentation. Well, when I say quick, I talk a lot, so I'm not supposed to do more than 20 minutes. But we'll do a presentation, and then we'll have a panel discussion. I hope you enjoy the subject. Perhaps to some of you might be very new. So, just so that you know what is fertility and the infertility issues, I'll have a quick run through what is it and what causes it for female and for male, what treatments are available, in particular gamete donation, which is gamete means sperm and egg, and also what we can do with fertility tourism and egg donation in Cyprus. And lastly, but not least, fertility preservation, which is freezing your sperm and egg. So, you've already heard about Cryos. I don't want to go too much into details, but perhaps the most important thing to mention is we have been around for 35 years this year. And we deliver donor sperm and egg to over 100 countries. We have many colleagues of IVF clinics that work with us worldwide. We've had the highest pregnancy rate, and we are estimating now to have had 70 to 80,000 babies born as a result of the donations that were made by our heroes, the egg and the sperm donors. But the most important thing for us is to make and help make the dreams come true for many couples and individuals around the world that yearn to have their own baby, their own children. And everybody should be able to fulfill that dream, and that's Cryos' vision. Everybody should be able to fulfill that dream, regardless of their marital status, religion, etc. So, what is infertility? Infertility is a disease, as stated by World Health Organization. Infertility is a disease of the male and female reproductive system. It is inability for a couple, when they can't conceive 12 consecutive months, then we can say that they are suffering from infertility or some kind of fertility issue. Infertility impacts 15% of the population worldwide. This figure used to actually be 10% previously. And I put this statement here from World Health Organization, which I think is very important to remember, and really sets the scene about what we are discussing today. Individuals and couples have the right to decide the number, timing, spacing of their children. Infertility can negate the realization of these essential human rights. Addressing infertility is therefore an important part of realizing the right of individuals and couples to found a family. And on that basis, I just don't want to go into too much scientific and medical discussions about it, but just very quickly tell you what are the common reasons for women when they are infertile. Mostly it's problems with producing egg, what we call ovulation. 40% of women that have infertility issues, it is found to be some kind of hormonal problems that can cause this issue. We also have other reasons, for example, obstruction of the tubes, which can be caused by endometriosis or infection. It could also be something wrong from within the uterus or the womb, which can cause infertility, and most common reasons are fibroids, which is very common, endometriosis, infections. But before we go to the next slide, I want to concentrate on the other causes. Age of a woman. This biological clock is ticking, and is ticking fast for all women around the world. We have problems that are social lifestyle, alcohol, tobacco, nutritional problems. So, without further ado, a third of couples have fertility problem when the woman is over the age of 35. And 2/3 of couples may have some kind of fertility issues as well when the woman is over the age of 40. What can cause and speed up this process, where we may end up with some fertility problems, is stress, and research shows, and being overweight, underweight, taking drugs, taking too much alcohol, smoking, and too much exercise or lack of exercise as well. But age, when we delay parenthood, age has a significant role to play. So, infertility used to be thought as being a female issue all the time in the past. Now, we are getting more awareness about this, and we are changing that attitude. Now we know that fertility is not just a female disease, and almost half of the cases of infertility are actually due to some male problems. And men are not immune to the various social risk factors that we just mentioned for the female as well, like smoking and drinking, being overweight and being underweight. And aging is not just a woman thing. It also impacts men. So men, as they get older, they have some problems with the quality and quantity of the sperm they produce. I'm not going to go into that beautiful diagram, which states a lot of the reasons for male fertility issues. Just to say, very plainly, that majority of those diseases that cause male infertility are to do with the sperm not being produced enough, or not having any sperm at all, or that it's not being, it's being blocked and it cannot make its way outside, and also to do with the abnormality of the actual sperm. So what are the fertility treatments that we can give? That I see some of my colleagues here today from IVF clinics in Cyprus. So if you go to a doctor, they can start with medication. Sometimes surgery may be needed. And if surgery or medication doesn't work, then we can look at some of the assisted reproduction technology. Short is called ART. What is that? You may have heard of IVF. That's definitely one of the technologies. But we have IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, IVF, ICSI, and then all of these treatments, if the sperm and egg from the intended parents is not suitable to create an embryo, to create a baby, then we can use donation, which is a third-party donation from an egg donor or a sperm donor. Now, let's quickly look at the success rates here. I don't know if you can see my laser. I can't see it myself. But anyway, so if you look at this chart, you can see that when a woman is under the age of 35 and we treat them with IVF, they have just over 30% chance of having a baby. You may think this is not a lot. It is so low. Why bother even? Well, let's put it this way. Women and men in their 20s, if they have unprotected intercourse, every month they only have 20% chance of a pregnancy. So in the animal kingdom, we're actually the lowest reproductive species. So knowing that, these figures are actually not too bad. 32%, maybe up to 33% when the woman is under the age of 35, but please see what happens as the woman gets older. Even with IVF, we have a huge issue to treat women with their own eggs if they are over the age of 40. However, 40 years of IVF and assisted reproduction technologies have led to over 8 million babies being born. And we still, however, 40 years on, have issues with the availability, access, and quality of interventions we can use to help the patients. Unfortunately, this is a challenge in most countries. Very quickly, I want to take you through gamete donation. Gamete donation is a donation of a sperm and egg, as I explained. Gamete donation is an effective way for the struggling parents to be able to make their dream come true. It allows the intended parents to at least be genetically linked to the child, one parent to at least be genetically linked to the child, and it helps them to exercise their right of getting pregnant and giving birth. Reasons for gamete donation can be medical, it can be genetics, or social reasons. So it could be that a woman has got, or a man has got medical issues and their own sperm or egg cannot be used. It could be that they have genetic disorders they could pass to their offspring, or it could be that for social reasons of age. There is medical, legal, and psychological preparations that are needed. So we have two types of egg donation and a sperm donation, but sometimes some patients may actually require embryo donation or double donation. So what is the role of the gamete banks? We are often associated with technological advances, but also we are associated with a lot of social controversies. There is a lot of ethical debate that goes on, but donation has resulted in producing healthy children, thousands and thousands, and it has been going on from 1983. So gamete banks have a very challenging and crucial role. We must make sure that we look after the well-being of our donors. We must make sure that we are within the legal and regulatory aspects. We must make sure that the donation process is of highest standard and safe, and also that we treat the intended parents equally. I want to take you quickly to a subject called fertility tourism. Many fertility patients need to travel abroad. And the reason for doing that, I will explain why. But first, we have a quick look at the market. The market for donor eggs is growing and has grown, and it's even grown during our recession years back in the 2009. So this field, the need for couples and singles to be able to have a child will never, ever stop, no matter what the economical status is. It is estimated that every year there is about 7.5% growth, and we know that the largest number of treatments of egg donation are actually done in Europe. So many people from within Europe or outside Europe come to Europe for their treatment. So we actually take around 50% of the egg donation cycles. What is the driver? Cost of treatment. In some countries like UK, where I live, cost of treatment is very, very high. Patients probably end up paying less if they go abroad, even if they add their flights and hotels and etc. There could be a lack of availability of donors. There are limited donor characteristics of what they want to have. And some nations ban or have different regulations that really limit the patients to be able to use a donor. So it could be donor anonymity status, which means donors usually can be either open ID donors or closed ID donors. We call them anonymous and non-anonymous. The egg recipient age, which means the woman that receives the eggs, might be a problem, or marital status and so on. But also very crucial is the egg donation success rate. How good are clinics in those countries that actually can get women pregnant? And a better journey. Here, these two graphs are taken from the most popular website for egg donation. It's called Egg Donation Friends. If you look on this graph, you see that Spain, in Europe, Spain takes most of the egg donation treatment cycles. 34% of patients that go on this website decide to go to Spain. We don't appear here, by the way, which is very sad. Then, if we look on the other graph, we can see that it is actually quite expensive to go to Spain. It's the most expensive. And we still have this huge market out there where we can attract to Cyprus, and we are not doing enough. If you look at what ESHRE has produced, this is the European Society for Reproductive and Embryology, 80,000 cycles every year are done in Europe. And Spain takes 50% of those. That's 40,000 cycles times the figure you see there. So, since we came to this country 4 years ago and established here, we have always said, I have always repeated in my talk, let's make Republic of Cyprus a fertility haven. Not because it's got the sand and the sea and the lovely sunshine as well, but because it's a convenient geographical place that is a bridge between the East and the West. It has the right infrastructure for the treatments that we can offer patients. It has excellent IVF clinics and very talented and experienced doctors who can help these patients coming from abroad, doctors and scientists. It also has Cryos, which is the first independent egg bank here which is licensed by the EU. We also work under the EU Tissue and Cell Directive, which is very important. That means we have to abide by certain regulations of safety. We have these safe processes in recruiting, in the screening, and in processing and storing the gametes and distributing it. So let's pay attention. We can help patients. We need a good strategy to be able to do that. We can make Cyprus a fertility haven. And I know I've got very few minutes left. I want to move on very quickly to the social and medical egg and sperm freezing. This is the opportunity for men and women to preserve their own sperm and egg. This is good for the future. I always say prevention is better than treatment. So if you know for any reason you may not be able to have a child right now, you can freeze your sperm and egg and preserve your fertility. Reasons for doing that might be medical, or it could be social. So women, because their biological clock is ticking very fast, we suggest that they can freeze their eggs, because when they freeze their eggs, time freezes for them, for those eggs as well. Cyprus provides assistance and grants all medical egg and sperm freezing. And it's the only country that I know, and maybe I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, please correct me, it's the only country that I know that actually supports women to freeze their eggs from the age of 35 over. That is for the social egg freezing. But I want to bring very quickly, and then we move on to the panel discussion, something to your attention. So we are giving the grant to freeze eggs from the age of 35. But if you look at this graph, this is how many eggs a woman has when she's born. We have about 1 to 2 million. We have a very inefficient way of preserving our fertility, unfortunately. It drops, those eggs drop to around 300,000 to 500,000 by puberty. And if you look at the graph going down, by the age of 37, there's only 25,000 left. So not only the number decreases, but also the abnormality increases. So the number goes down, and abnormality of the egg, that means being chromosomally abnormal, will increase. From the age of 34, if you look at on that graph, it's 40% of our eggs are actually abnormal. And this figure keeps going up. By the age of 45, 70% of those few eggs we've got left are actually abnormal. So how many eggs should we freeze for a patient? And this is a debate with regards to age again. So if you are having patients that are over the age of 35 or over the age of 40, we will struggle to freeze enough eggs for them to have a realistic chance of having a baby. If you look at that table, if a woman is 34 years and you manage to get 20 eggs to freeze for her, she has 90% chance of 1 birth, 66% chance of 2 births, and 38% chance of 3 births. And compare that to what happens when the woman is 37 or when she goes to 42 years old. I won't take too much time on this because the panel will talk about it. Just to finish off by saying that according to WHO, 48 million people, couples, and 186 million individuals have issues with fertility. Cyprus supports many women to actually be able to freeze their eggs and preserve so they don't become the statistics up there. But we need to do more. We need to improve regulation, we need cooperation from the policy makers, and we need coordinated awareness. There is not enough awareness out there to teach young women and young men how to preserve their fertility. If we look at the fertility tourism, which we can increase into Cyprus and get ourselves on that graph that I showed you a few slides ago, the revenue for Spain alone, for the egg donation treatment alone, is over 300 million. And this is not including the rest of the tourism income and revenue that we can have from hotel, flights, etc. So let us form alliance. develop a stringent strategy and raise awareness and normalize fertility. Fertility should not be a taboo. Republic of Cyprus can be a fertility haven. Thank you very much.
So I think following Saghar's extensive presentation, we should all know by now that having children does not come easy for everyone. Studies indicate that approximately 1 out of 6 couples experience fertility problems at some point. Today, we will find out more about fertility and cross-border reproductive care at this All About Fertility panel discussion by the world's largest egg and sperm bank, Cryos International. The experts touching on numerous informative topics surrounding fertility and the prospects for the promotion of Cyprus as a fertility haven are MP Savia Orphanidou, Obstetrician-Gynecologist Dr. Nicos Zottis, Cryos Director of European Operations Saghar Kasiri, and Deputy Ministry of Tourism Officer Thalia Christodoulidou. In addition, Sophia Paraskeva will be shedding light on her personal fertility treatment experience. So, following the presentation by Saghar, let's have a round-the-table discussion on general fertility awareness in Cyprus. Dr. Zottis, I'm starting with you.
Okay.
In your opinion, through educational materials and the media available to the general public in Cyprus, is there sufficient awareness on fertility? The question goes on. If not, who would you say is responsible for this task? And does the gynecology community in Cyprus have some responsibility to do this? If so, could informing and/or training gynecologists make a change? And especially regarding the preservation of fertility for women.
Thank you for the extensive question. I will try to answer all the aspects. First of all, I think there is no sufficient fertility awareness for the general public of Cyprus, and especially for the young people, because I believe that this should be the task, should be the target group. I would say responsible for this task, first of all, is the Ministry of Health, because you have somebody to coordinate all the trial for the awareness. And I strongly believe that this has to be done maybe in cooperation with the Ministry of Education in a way, as I believe the youngest you get an information, the better you can deal with it. And I believe that the age, maybe the age below 20, or I would say below 25, is the right period to try to transfer a knowledge to women and men, of course. So I believe that the Ministry of Health should be the first responsible for this task. Of course, then is the scientific societies, especially the Gynecological Society, the private sector of doctors, and finally every individual doctor, and then the journalist and the social media. So the second part, as a Gynecological Society, I think we can do better for sure. We can do better for sure. We have to emphasize more on informing our members, every single gynecologist, about the fertility issues and especially the fertility preservation. So when they examine a woman, to have always this in mind, always. What other we can do, of course, to support every symposium like today, or to try to support every social media, or we go everywhere we can in order to transfer our knowledge and to try to inform, especially, as I said before, young people about the fertility issues and especially for fertility preservation.
Thank you. Sophia, hi. You are a patient who has frozen her eggs. What was your experience, and would you say you were provided the right information at the right time? And also, to go a bit further on, do you think you may be the exception? Or do you feel that there are more women out there who, like you, were not given the right information at the right time?
I think I'd like to start by explaining that the issue of my medical fertility was something I discovered by complete fluke. So at 39, I fell to the pavement one day. I was bleeding quite badly, so I went straight to my gynecologist, who sent me to the lab. And lo and behold, I'm sitting in the lab being told that my AMH and my FSH were completely low and pretty dismal. So credit to my gynecologist, because I think we do have some exceptional professionals in Cyprus. He said to me, you know, Sophia, you need to go to a fertility expert to discuss your options. And I did. The good news was I was given the opportunity, blessed with the opportunity to review my options. The bad news was that at 39, as you saw, my options were pretty bleak. So I was single. I was yet to even evaluate whether or not I wanted to become a mother, but I felt this is my time, I have to do it, given the information that's been handed to me. So I think what's important, obviously over and above the fact that I'd never even questioned my fertility before 39, is that the period between discovering my ebbing fertility and finding the fertility clinic I wanted to go to, obviously, because reputation, chemistry, trust is important when you're going to do something like that. That was the period that I found incredibly confusing and very, very mentally daunting, because if it wasn't for Google, if it wasn't for the internet, I would have been quite lost. Yes, once you find your specialist, the information is there. The doctors in Cyprus are fantastic. The clinics that we have are great. But when you're fumbling around trying to understand what's going on, it's a very confusing place to be, because the information is not readily available. And something that I found incredibly frustrating on the fertility journey when I started the treatment was it suddenly occurred to me, if it's this easy to see your hormones on a blood test, if it's this easy to find a decent embryologist to talk to about your stats, if it's this easy to lie back with your legs in stirrups and look at your eggs leaping around on a screen, why on earth am I reactively doing this at 39 when somebody could have proactively encouraged me to do it at 29, when instead of 3 eggs, Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, I could have had 20. And the issue is that nobody had raised this with me, and I don't believe that we should expect the youth or anybody who is unaware or who hasn't been raised with the blueprint that I need to get married and have kids and live in a picket fence with a Labrador. Who's informing these people that they have options? And ironically, in the days following my decision, when I thought I'm going to talk about this openly because it's my way of dealing with the emotional and the psychological overexertion, because it is quite a bizarre thing to be doing on your own, I actually found that women were coming out of the woodwork. Literally 1 in 3 women I was talking to had either undergone IVF or was having trouble conceiving, or was looking for a surrogate or an egg donor. So the point is that if almost 1 in 3 women in their late 30s or early 40s are experiencing this, it means that possibly every one of us in this room has an experience in our immediate family or our immediate circle. So why are we not talking about it? It is not a taboo. Fertility is not a theory, it's a reality, and it has a huge knock-on effect on all your decisions in life. So you have to be thinking about it, and we have to be talking about it.
And you're definitely not an exception.
Not an exception. Everyone I have spoken to has the same complaints, yeah.
Savia, having heard Sophia and Dr. Zottis, in your opinion, is there anything the government and or the parliament can do to raise fertility awareness. Who do you feel is responsible for the undertaking of this task, the government or the Gynecology Society of Cyprus?
First of all, I would like to thank Cryos and, of course, the Cyprus Forum for the opportunity to express our views today here. I think it's a very crucial issue that we're discussing without taboos. I totally agree with Sophia, because I've been through myself this experience, and I believe that there is a huge gap regarding the awareness and regarding the information that should be given to women to know that they should freeze their eggs from an early stage. So yes, when I went through this experience, I realized that something must be done. So when I took the seat in the parliament, that was the first thing I promoted, basically a discussion at the Human Rights Committee to bring about the issue of a campaign for the awareness of fertility. And there we discussed various issues, specifically who is responsible for this. Of course, the Ministry of Health is responsible, but I believe that the IVF committee, which is established by law in the IVF legislation that is currently being enforced right now in Cyprus, has a huge role to play, and I know the people there, they're doing an excellent job. So we said that because we need uniformity in the way that we will proceed with the awareness campaign, that unit should undertake this role. And there are two levels to inform people. The first level is the gynecologist and the doctors and the embryologist. And that must be done in a different level than the information that we should give to women who are looking for information through Google, as Sophia said. So two different levels, two different, perhaps, leaflets, two different videos with two different campaigns, but aiming at the same issue to make fertility an issue that should be known. And I believe that we will not invent anything. There are best practices around the world. We have so many other countries that have been informing the people better, perhaps. European countries, Saghar might know better than me about these issues. So I think we should learn from the best, from other countries. And the message that I want to get through to women is that they should do from an early stage these, I'm going to look it up again, AMH, because I never get it right, AMH test, which I have done also at 39, and I discovered that I was low, very low in fertility. Thank God, since then, I have my child from a sperm donor from Cryos, to be more specific. And I think we should urge more women to start looking into this from a very early stage.
Thank you. The next question is for you as well. Oh. So 35 is the age that has been set for the egg freezing funding scheme by the Ministry of Health, even though through data and years of research, it is a known fact that fertility starts to decline at that age. You've already said this, but do you agree that women who want to freeze their egg and preserve their fertility should do so at an earlier stage in their lives? And what age would you think that is?
Okay, I'm not an expert on this, so the decision was taken by the Ministry of Health about the age limit, and they have looked into studies from the UK, the USA, and Europe. In my personal opinion, I think it should be even lower, but just to clarify things, women can also get the grant, because I have worked a lot to improve the grant scheme, and we have given now women the chance to get 2,000 euros for every time they are going through their egg freezing. Up to 4 times they can use the scheme. So I think that's maybe we can increase that a bit, but I think it's okay for now. And we are pushing to increase that in the future. Yes, you get the grant at any stage when you're doing the IVF process, the whole process. You have to be 35 to get the grant for the egg freezing, but you can get the grant for the egg freezing at any time if you have a medical condition. So there are conditions and criteria for this. But definitely, I strongly believe we should change the age as soon as possible that we can. I'm going to push for this in the next few weeks, months, and let's see where we get with this.
I hope you do. Thank you. Saghar, as a provider of this service, what is your experience with patients who contact you for social freezing?
First of all, before I answer your question, I see some young people sitting in the audience. I just want to say that I'm so pleased that they're here and they're hearing this, and maybe they can pass the information to their friends. I think it's very, very important to have that awareness. What we are seeing is when patients contact us, sometimes they believe that, for example, they can come with their own gynecologist to get the fertility treatment or to get the fertility preservation done or the egg freezing done. There isn't enough information, as my friends here have said as well. There isn't enough information to actually inform the patients that want to freeze their eggs that they need to have a fertility expert, someone who knows how to stimulate their ovaries and produce more eggs for them to be able to freeze. This is very important information that all our gynecologists can pass on to the patients. Pass the patients at the right age to the IVF clinics or to us as a bank. And we will help and assist them in getting a good number of eggs frozen for them. So the information needs to go to the patient, but also there is a huge gap in the information going to the public. So public awareness is very important, starting from the young age in schools to teach them about their fertility. I'm assisting in UK a committee that is now trying to bring fertility awareness to the attention of the people who set the curriculums for sex education in the schools.
I was going to say, do you think that, because you keep saying young age,
Yes,
should this be
yes.
part of sexual education?
100%. I mean, we teach them about their own body, about their own biology, about puberty. We teach them how not to get pregnant. We teach them how not to get someone pregnant. But we don't teach them how to preserve their fertility. So when they decide to have a baby, they can have a baby. And that's really important. And this information is missing in many countries. There is not enough awareness.
Thank you, Saghar. So following what we just heard about the potential of fertility treatments with donor sperm and egg in Cyprus, bearing in mind we now have the largest sperm and egg bank and many successful IVF clinics in Cyprus, I would like to find out what is our panel's point of view on cross-the-border fertility care or fertility tourism. Thalia, as the Deputy Ministry of Tourism, are you aware of the potential market for fertility tourism? And if so, what is your strategy? And do any future plans include fertility treatments?
We have been aware of the interest for fertility treatments in Cyprus from specific countries. As such, fertility treatments were and are included in the selected treatments that are considered to have the potential to develop Cyprus as a health tourism destination. In the past, the Deputy Ministry devoted 1 year for the promotion of each one of these selected treatments, fertility tourism included. As we're not the experts in the medical sector, all of our actions are carried out in collaboration with the Cyprus Health Services Promotion Board, whose members include medical facilitators, travel agencies specializing in health tourism, health professionals, and clinics. In recent years, mainly due to prevailing circumstances such as the COVID pandemic, we have not proceeded with any treatment-specific promotions. However, health tourism is included in the special interest tourism products that the Deputy Ministry considers of priority based on the National Tourism Strategy. As such, this coming year, we intend to restart our treatment-specific promotions in specific markets, again in collaboration with the Cyprus Health Services Promotion Board. And having seen Cyprus's potential as a destination for fertility treatments, we plan to include specialized promotional actions in our action plan, aimed specifically at promoting Cyprus as a fertility tourism destination.
Excellent, thank you. Savia, as a Member of Parliament and the Vice President of the Health Committee, is there anything you would like to add to what Thalia said?
Well, Thalia has said it all as the Deputy Ministry of Tourism, but I think there should be a cooperation, of course, with the Ministry of Health. These are very important issues, so if we are going to promote a strategy on medical tourism and specifically on fertility tourism, I think there should be a close cooperation, and of course, the Health Committee can discuss these issues. Actually, I was thinking of putting forward a discussion on these issues in the Parliament regarding the tourism aspect. To see what's going on and to give the opportunity to the Deputy Ministry to expand its vision on the issue. Of course, I should say I personally strongly believe that there are huge benefits from promoting fertility tourism in Cyprus, and that's why, as the government, and in my personal view again, because I'm not representing my party's views, of course, I strongly supported the fact that the Cryos, the biggest sperm bank in Cyprus, has chosen to expand its services in Cyprus, which gave the opportunity to all of us to be more aware and to many other people to come to Cyprus from other countries and benefit from our legal system, our procedures. And I like the fact that you said that the Republic of Cyprus can be a fertility heaven. So let's hope that in the future we can manage that in order, at the end of the day, to help women in their right to become mothers, or anybody, men and women, to become a parent.
The next question is both for you, Dr. Zottis, and you, Saghar. As service providers, what do you consider are the limiting factors that directly impact your IVF clinic or Cryos sperm and egg bank to provide treatment to patients from abroad? Dr. Zottis?
I think first of all is the information. I think people living abroad, they don't know about the fertility services that we can provide them in Cyprus. So the first goal should be to inform them and convince them to come to Cyprus. So the first is the information. We have to send the information abroad. And the second, of course, is the law status. We have to make some changes. We have a very good law, I would say, but we need some more small changes that we have to do in order to make things easier for IVF centers and for people from abroad to come and visit our IVF centers, which I would say they have a very high standards, and we have nothing to jealous, or if we compare it with IVF centers abroad, we are in the same status. So these two things. I would like to say something about the law. I think it's two small things that we have to change. Maybe to change the anonymous status and add to this the non-anonymous status. And the second thing is the surrogacy. It would be very good for us if we make a small change and offer this to people living abroad.
Okay. Saghar, have you got anything to add?
Yes, thank you very much. Very much aligned to what you just said, Dr. Zottis. I think one of the slides, I rushed through it a bit because I was concerned for time, but they did a huge survey asking patients why they want to go abroad. and 42% of patients that travel abroad, sorry, this was in UK, 42% of patients that traveled abroad was for egg donation. They also did looked at the age range, and over 80% of them were above the age of 35. So if you cannot find the donors in your homeland, if you don't have the right anonymity status that you want, and just maybe in the bracket here, I quickly, if we have time, explain, being anonymous donors means the child that's born from the sperm donor or the egg donor will never be able to contact the donor when the child becomes an adult at the age of 18. Being a non-anonymous donor or ID release donor means that the child that is born as a result of that donation at the age of 18, not the parents, the child, at the age of 18 can decide to contact the clinic or the bank that the sperm or the egg donation came from and find out information about the donor. This is very important because some families, some countries feel very strongly about not taking the right away from the child. If you go for anonymous donation, for example, you are taking the right away from the child to choose whether to contact the donor at the age of 18 or plus or not. So we see now in Greece recently, they changed. So now they allow both anonymous and non-anonymous donation. And this helps to give better choice to the parents. And I think this is very crucial. If we want to work as a fertility tourism country, we need to be able to provide, destination for the patients to come to. We need to be able to provide for all kinds of patients the needs that they have. Many countries are changing to non-anonymous donation, or some may be anonymous donation. If we want to be successful in providing this service to the patients, we must also allow as much choice as possible for the patients arriving. And one last thing, Cyprus is going to be a fertility haven if all of us stakeholders work together and liaise together and collaborate together, and we can improve the fertility tourism to Cyprus.
Okay, yes, I agree. But Dr. Zottis and Saghar, and then Savia, I'll get to you. Do you anticipate that these changes will be made in Cyprus, offering parents and their offspring this choice?
You are asking our opinion on that?
Yeah.
I already mentioned that I think it's fundamental to change the law and give to all people the opportunity to use Cyprus as to use the services of Cyprus in order to solve their fertility problems. So I fully agree. Yes.
Okay. Savia, should we anticipate any changes in the law from the House of Parliament?
Yes. Currently, the legislation for the amendment of the IVF legislation has been promoted to the Legal Service for legal vetting. So the Ministry of Health has already prepared a legislative piece in cooperation, of course, with the IVF committee. And we are expecting it in the next few months in the Parliament. So we will have a discussion on these issues. In my personal view, I will start with the anonymity issue. When I had the child through a sperm donor, I didn't have a choice because the legislation says, that the Cypriot legislation says that it should be anonymous. And that was fine by me. I'm still not certain that this should be changed. But I can see the point of view because sometimes we need to give the right for people to choose. So I will discuss it with myself when the time comes and see if this is one of the things that I personally would want to promote. But generally, I believe what we should change is the fact that because we are promoting tourism, we said, so citizens from other countries or third-party sperm donors who choose Cyprus and to carry out this procedure should be allowed the non-anonymity status because they come from countries, at least those who come from countries who by law allow the non-anonymity status, should be allowed to have it in Cyprus as well. So these are two separate things. I think this, what I just said, might take place, actually, because I think it's only fair. The second part regarding the Cyprus legislation, we will see. I strongly, though, believe that the biggest change that we should do in the context of this amending legislation should be to give the right, finally, to single women to be able to have a child through surrogated women. It's so unfair. It's a discrimination, and I don't want to say anything else, because I'm very angry about this issue, that we are cutting off single women from using a surrogated woman. So, yes, we should change this. Also, the fact that single women need to get the approval from the IVF committee to have a child by themselves. I had to take the approval. So I don't think that that is fair.
Because we have a little bit of time, I was wondering, can you talk about that approval? What does it mean a single woman has to get?
As a single woman, I had to go through this IVF committee to apply. I had to fill in papers and apply so that I will be given the permission to have a child by myself. A conscious decision at my 40s.
And the permission is to be given to you by?
The IVF committee. You need to have a clean criminal record, but these are things that I think we should not abolish, because these are best practices in other countries as well. Clean criminal record, no sexual abuses, blah, 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 you know. Yes, I think at least though, the procedure for the approval by the IVF should be abolished. I think maybe it's in the amending law. Also, I believe that we should change the age limit for women to have a baby by themselves, because now it's at 50 years old. Maybe we can increase it to 53. I'm just saying 52, 53. Also, another issue that I have written down here is the fact that we had some problems with the IVF clinics not informing their systems and their archives on the donations, the egg donations that have been taking place. In order to avoid things that might be taking place in other countries, things that are not good, things that are bad, I think we should find a way to update in real time or records about egg donation or sperm donation by all the IVF clinics. And parentheses, I think we have excellent, and I mean excellent IVF clinics in Cyprus. I'm very impressed with their professional status, and I've been through an excellent IVF committee. I think I saw my embryologist here. I'm not sure. Yeah, she's still there. I wasn't sure. So I know that I have taken the best treatment that I could possibly have after I found out by myself that I can have this opportunity. So yes, I believe that we should help to have better records on these issues in order to avoid other things that are not good practices abroad. Well, these are one of the few things that we want to change, but when the time comes, maybe some other things will come up. Hopefully, soon enough, we will be discussing this, and I'm sure that it will be a taboo issue again. But again, we will try our best to change things.
Yes, thank you. So, having heard the various points of view on this issue, I would like to ask for some final thoughts. Thalia, if you would like to go first.
The development of Cyprus as a health tourism destination is one of the Deputy Ministry's strategic priorities. And we're confident that attracting fertility tourism to Cyprus plays an important part in achieving this goal. We feel that Cyprus has a big potential to develop as a fertility tourism destination, and as such we plan to collaborate with the Cyprus Health Services Promotion Board and all other stakeholders toward achieving this goal. And as mentioned earlier, we plan to restart our treatment-specific promotional actions, and we plan on including fertility tourism in these actions.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Zottis, any final thoughts?
I would like to make a comment on the aspect of medical tourism. And I mean, there is years and years hearing about this, like we have to improve medical tourism, but I think we are at the beginning. So I think we have to make it a little bit more specified and find the, the aspects, or in which aspects we can bring tourism in Cyprus. We should not make it a general. We have to specify, and I strongly believe that IVF services in Cyprus are in a very high standards with very good clinics. So I believe that using these excellent IVF centers in Cyprus with these very high standards, they can fully support your trial to bring tourism in Cyprus. So we have to make it more specified, not generally medical tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Savia, final thoughts?
Well, I think I've said it all. We are expecting the amending legislation. We will try our best once again to change things, to give the right to all women and actually all people to the right to be a parent, which I think is the biggest blessing in the world. So we will keep pushing towards that direction, and we will do some more technical issues as well as the awareness campaign, which I will bring soon enough again for discussion in the Parliament, so that you will all be able to attend and say your opinion. And we will be looking after the Deputy Minister here to make sure that they promote that medical tourism, fertility tourism.
Good to hear. Thank you. Sophia, any last thoughts you'd like to share?
I think, given that this is the Cyprus Forum, the perfect platform to say a few things, it really saddens me that we live in a European country and issues like fertility, sex, mental health, depression, addiction are still being swept under the carpet as if they're gonna go away. And the mentality that we've inherited, I don't know why gynecologists don't want to talk about options with young women. I don't know if it's because we know everybody, it's a small society, people are supposed to get married, have children, but I'm very adamant that these are prevalent issues, they are not taboo issues, and people need to start talking more transparently, because the knock-on effect fertility has on all your decisions in life, your career, your relationships, dating. All you have to do is look at the divorce rate and the birth rate in Cyprus, and you can see that we have issues. So if we're going to fix all of this, we need to identify that there is an issue. We need to have the intent to get together, educate, raise awareness, and change mentalities. And it's about being sure that the youth, and I'm not a mother, but I'm fearful for the next generation because they've got enough to contend with. They need to have all the right information at the right time.
Thank you. Saghar, I'm leaving it with you to finish.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. Very valid points, and I hope that we have managed to provoke some fresh thoughts about fertility and the issue of infertility treatment. I would like to just finish by saying we need to form strong, solid, stringent strategy if we want to bring more fertility patients into Cyprus. This has to happen with a combination of policymakers and the different arms of the government, Deputy Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Health in Cyprus, come together with the fertility field and have a proper strategy set place. Promoting Cyprus alone is not enough. We need to have our hands open as service providers to be able to help as many patients as possible, which means we need to get more donors. We need to be able to talk and raise awareness to get donors. We need to be able to talk about the treatments and invite patients to come to Cyprus. And I think more and more importantly, for the people of Cyprus, for the youth of Cyprus, we have a responsibility to raise awareness about their fertility, about how to preserve it. And that would only come from forums like this that we can talk about it openly. That is not a taboo. It will come from journalists allowing us to publish research and discuss it and open the subject so that it's not seen as something that you don't want to talk about. It's something that should be talked about. We don't hide if we have kidney issues. We don't hide if we have heart disease. But we hide if two organs in our body, for male and female, if we have reproductive organs failing to function the way they should function, which is to be able to produce sperm and egg in order to have a child. If those organs are failing, it's no different to having a heart disease or your heart or your kidneys or your liver failing. So let's treat it as a disease according to what WHO has said. Let's raise awareness, and together we can do it and break this taboo and normalize fertility treatments.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.